Some languages were never meant to be spoken aloud. They were carved, hidden, forgotten. For centuries, we've looked at ancient artifacts as beautiful objects, treasures from a lost time. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the most stunning relics from ancient history weren't art at all, but messages? What if they were warnings left behind by people who were never allowed to speak? These weren't just decorative patterns. This was a language of the silenced, a code for the forgotten, etched into the very fabric of civilization. A secret history, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to finally read it. We've been admiring the frame, but we've missed the picture entirely. And the message it contains might just rewrite everything we thought we knew about the past. The grand narratives of history are dominated by kings, priests, and generals. Their names are recorded, their deeds celebrated. But the great pyramids, the sprawling temples, the intricate pottery that filled their palaces, these weren't made by them. They were crafted by the anonymous masses, the artisans, the potters, the metalworkers, the stone masons. These were the true builders of civilization, the skilled hands whose names were almost always erased from the record. For them, history was not a story they could write, but an object they could shape. Their only voice, their only legacy, was the mark they left behind. A quiet signature on a world that tried to render them invisible. This wasn't vanity, it was a defiant act of existence, a whisper across millennia that says, "I was here. I made this." In the ancient and medieval worlds, knowledge was power, and power was fiercely guarded. Craft guilds controlled everything from the formula for mixing glaze to the technique for tempering steel. Sharing these trade secrets was not just discouraged, it was often a crime, punishable by exile or worse. How do you protect vital information when you can't write it down, when literacy is rare, and when spies are everywhere? You hide it in plain sight. Artisans developed a complex system of symbols, a private language understood only by those initiated into the craft. A seemingly random swirl, a particular arrangement of dots, a simple geometric shape, to an outsider, it was just decoration. But to a fellow craftsman, it was a message, a credential, and a warning. This visual shorthand became a way to communicate, to maintain standards, and to protect their livelihood from the prying eyes of the powerful. Let's start with one of the most common artifacts we find, pottery. Across the Roman and Greek worlds, countless shards have been unearthed. We admire their form, their painted scenes. But flip them over, and a different story emerges. Many pieces bear small, discrete marks carved into the clay near the base. These weren't random doodles. A simple cross, for example, wasn't a religious statement, it often signified guild-approved quality. It told a merchant that this pot met the strict standards of the local Potters Association. You could trust it. A circle with a dot in the center was another common symbol, but with a more exclusive meaning, master-crafted. This wasn't just guild-approved, it was the work of a top-tier artisan, intended for an elite client. These marks were a system of control. They regulated value, built trust, and managed an entire economy of trade without a single written word. Now, let's look at something much bigger, the towering cathedrals of medieval Europe. These magnificent stone structures were built over generations by teams of stonemasons. How did they organize such a massive, complex workforce without modern blueprints or payroll systems? Again, with symbols. Each mason had a personal mark, a unique signature they carved into the stones they cut. But these weren't just signatures. The symbols were hierarchical. For instance, a chevron, or a V-shape, often indicated a senior mason, a master of the craft. A single straight line might belong to an apprentice, still learning his trade. Your symbol wasn't just your name, it was your resume, your rank, and your pay grade. At the end of the week, the paymaster wouldn't ask for your name. He'd count your marks on the finished stones. Your symbol determined your pay, your status, and ultimately, your survival. The world of ancient metalworkers was even more secretive. Smiths who could forge superior weapons or tools held knowledge that was equivalent to military secrets today. The exact composition of an alloy, the precise temperature for quenching a blade, these were formulas of immense value and danger. Spreading this knowledge was forbidden. So, how did they pass on critical information? A blade might be marked with a broken spiral. To the untrained eye, it's an elegant design. But to another smith, it carried a chilling warning, ritually dangerous. This might mean the metal was prepared with a forbidden or cursed process, making it unfit for conventional use. Or, a sequence of dots along the tang of a sword could represent a specific recipe for the steel. These symbols were more than just a brand, they were a lockbox for forbidden knowledge, protecting secrets far better than any physical lock ever could. This hidden language extended beyond the workshop and into the realm of personal status and power. Look closely at ancient jewelry, the brooches, rings, and pendants worn by the elite. The symbols engraved on them were not merely for beauty, they were declarations of authority. A continuous spiral, a common motif across many cultures, often symbolized continuity, sacred power, and a connection to the divine or ancestral lineage. To wear it was to claim that power. Conversely, a broken line or a fractured geometric pattern could signify something entirely different: mourning, a family in decline, or even exile. Wearing the wrong symbol in the wrong context could be a grave social error, or worse, a direct challenge to the established order. This was social control, enforced not by laws or guards, but by a silent, visual vocabulary that everyone in power understood implicitly. So what happened to this secret language? Why don't we still use it? The answer is simple: the world that created it disappeared. Empires collapsed. The Roman road network, which facilitated trade and the spread of these symbols, fell into disrepair. Later, medieval guilds, once the powerful gatekeepers of craft knowledge, gradually lost their influence with the rise of new economies and technologies. As the social structures that gave these symbols meaning vanished, the language died with them. The marks survived, of course, carved into stone and stamped onto pottery, but their meaning was buried. For centuries, archaeologists and historians saw them and dismissed them as simple maker's marks or, more often, as meaningless decoration. The silent language fell silent once more, waiting. But the story isn't over. In recent decades, a new generation of scholars and archaeologists has started looking at these symbols differently. Using digital databases and comparative analysis, they are compiling thousands of these marks from sites all across the ancient world. And for the first time, patterns are emerging on a massive scale. Repeating symbols, found hundreds of miles apart, but on similar types of objects. Consistent meanings that line up with the context of the artifact. It's like finding fragments of a dictionary. A cross on pottery in Britain means the same thing as a cross on pottery in North Africa. A mason's mark in France matches one in Germany. Slowly, painstakingly, the silent language is beginning to speak again. We are becoming the first people in 1,000 years to understand what these artisans were trying to say. History, we are told, is written by the victors. But that's not the whole truth. History was also carved, etched, and stamped by those society tried to forget. While kings and emperors built monuments to their own glory, the builders themselves embedded a different story into the very materials they worked. A story of craft, of community, of quiet defiance. It's a history that doesn't shout from victory columns or royal tombs. It waits patiently in the tool marks on a stone, on the bottom of a clay pot, in the swirl on a forgotten blade. Some stories demand to be heard. Others just wait for the right eyes to see them. Thank you for watching.